Are you afraid of dying? No, I'm not. I'm not afraid of dying.
They smiled, they charmed, and yes, they killed.
But I wanted to kill my mother.
These weren't cold-blooded strangers in the shadows. They were daughters, lovers, neighbors.
Ex-reality TV star can tonight be revealed as an accused killer charged with beheading her boyfriend.
Beautiful on the outside, but what hid beneath was far more disturbing.
It was the most gruesome scene that I'd ever seen.
When the facade cracks, the truth is often more terrifying than fiction. Believe us, you're watching Beautiful Women Who Became Murderers, Part 3. Imagine the girl who lit up reality TV suddenly becoming the face of a horror nobody expected.
Ex-reality TV star can tonight be revealed as an accused killer charged with beheading her boyfriend in Port Lincoln.
She once lit up Australian screens, runner-up on Beauty and the Geek in 2010, model for Playboy, Ralph, FHM. Tamika Chesser crafted a life of surface perfection, glamour posts, spiritual captions, curated content on OF. But in the quiet streets of Port Lincoln, something fractured. On June 19, 2025, first responders arrived to find smoke rising from a modest home on Flinders Highway. Inside was Julian Story, a 39-year-old musician and animal lover, dismembered, burned. His head was missing, still is. Tamika was found in the backyard, unresponsive, staring into nothing. Police believe Julian died 2 days earlier, around midnight on June 17th. Tamika was immediately taken into psychiatric custody. She remains detained at James Nash House, awaiting a December court date. Charges include murder, interference with a corpse, and assaulting a police officer. CCTV later showed her walking calmly through town in black with 3 dogs. She didn't drive. Police continue to appeal for CCTV or dashcam footage to trace her steps between June 17th and 19th and locate Julian's missing head. Tamika's sister says she'd been spiraling for years. She was in a state of psychosis. This isn't her. From TV star to psychiatric detention, from curated beauty to unspeakable violence. What do we ever really know about the people we follow? Julian is gone. Port Lincoln is still shaken. And Tamika? She sits in silence, while the country tries to make sense of it all. In the early 1990s, the quiet suburbs of Ontario seemed like the last place horror would strike.
Consider the grotesque case of Karla Homolka, who, along with her ex-husband Paul Bernardo in the early 90s, raped, tortured, and murdered at least 3 minors, including Homolka's own 15-year-old sister at the time, Tammy.
But behind the neat homes and friendly faces of St. Catharines and Mississauga lived Karla Homolka, a veterinary assistant with blonde hair, a gentle voice, and a hidden darkness. When she met Paul Bernardo, already under police suspicion as the so-called Scarborough rapist, the two would go on to commit acts that shook the nation. It began with Karla's younger sister, Tammy. On Christmas Eve 1990, a drugged beverage and a tragic chain of events led to Tammy's untimely death. The incident was ruled accidental, but the truth would later suggest otherwise. Over the next 2 years, Karla and Paul abducted 2 more teenage girls, Leslie Mahaffey and Kristen French. Both were held against their will and did not survive. Leslie's remains were discovered in concrete blocks submerged in a lake. Kristen was found days after her disappearance. Disturbingly, Karla wasn't a passive witness. She participated and documented the crimes alongside Paul. The videotapes they recorded would later surface, revealing far more than anyone imagined. But by then, Karla had already struck a controversial deal with prosecutors, testifying against Paul in exchange for a 12-year sentence on reduced charges. No life sentence, no murder conviction. The plea bargain was so shocking that it became known as the deal with the devil. When the tapes were finally viewed in court, Canadians were stunned by Carla's apparent composure and active role. The image she had presented as a manipulated victim began to unravel. Still, the deal held. In 2005, she was released, changed her name, married, and started a family. But public memory never faded. Journalists, concerned parents, and local communities repeatedly exposed her presence, especially when it was discovered she had volunteered at a school. To this day, experts are divided. Was she under the influence of a dangerous partner, or was she a willing participant? Some label her emotionally detached. Others point to psychological conditions linked to attraction to violent personalities. But for many Canadians, the debate isn't psychological, it's deeply personal. How could someone so seemingly ordinary be involved in such horrific acts? Karla Homolka's story remains one of the most unsettling in Canadian history. A reminder that sometimes the most terrifying faces aren't strangers, they're the ones we thought we knew. What if a privileged heiress became the face of a nightmare? August 2014. At Bali's opulent St. Regis Resort, the air is thick with promise. But in Suite 2212, horror unfolds.
Heather Mack, the Oak Park native who conspired with her boyfriend to kill her mother in 2014 in Bali, learns her sentence.
Sheila Von Wiese Mack, a Chicago socialite, is bludgeoned to death by her daughter's boyfriend Tommy Schaefer as Heather Mack, 18, pregnant, and desperate, watches. Together, they cram Sheila's body into a suitcase and call a cab. When blood seeps out, the driver flees and the suitcase is abandoned. The world is stunned by the suitcase murder. Heather, arrested while pregnant, gives birth to baby Stella in an Indonesian prison. She is convicted in 2015 and serves 7 years of a 10-year sentence. Stella lives beside her in the cell, a fragile symbol of hope amid infamy. Upon Heather's 2021 release, she's deported to the U.S., immediately arrested, and in December 2023, pleads guilty to conspiracy to murder her mother. She receives a 26-year sentence. Today, Heather sits in a West Virginia prison. Stella grows up with relatives in Colorado. The saga deepens. A former female prison guard is accused of abusing Heather in custody, another shadow in a tale of betrayal and power. Darkness, it seems, lingers long after the suitcase closed. What if the woman you passed on the street held a deadly secret beneath her smile? Houston, June 13, 1983. Neon lights flicker, the humid air thick with night sounds. At 3 a.m., 23-year-old Karla Faye Tucker and Daniel Garrett broke into a home to steal a motorcycle. What followed was more brutal than theft. Tucker, high and desperate, picked up a pickaxe, attacking Jerry Dean and then Deborah Thornton, inflicting fatal wounds. Later confessing the violence gave her a sexual release. Initially stoic in court, Tucker's transformation came months later in her cell, where she found faith and remorse. Over 14 years on death row, she became a model prisoner, married her prison minister, and inspired pleas for mercy from televangelists, Pope John Paul II, and even Deborah Thornton's brother.
That's because God said He desires mercy over sacrifice or over the law, and there should always be a place for mercy.
Yet on February 3, 1998, Texas executed her, the first woman executed in the state since 1863. Her last meal was simple, a banana, peach, and salad. As she hummed hymns, Tucker's story forced America to confront a haunting question. Can true redemption erase the memory of unspeakable violence? Or does society's judgment always prevail? Beauty can mesmerize, but it can also deceive. What drives someone from charm to carnage, from romance to revenge? These women shattered every expectation and the lives of those around them. Which of these stories shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments. If this one shook you, don't miss what's coming next. We're diving even deeper into true crime's darkest corners. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss a moment. Thank you for watching.